Good evening. Hmm. Nice to see you guys back after last night. And based on what the subject's going to be, I can understand the trepidation that many feel. I've talked about this issue, the one in the thumbnail, media firestorm. Absolutely. Picture says it all. Just one picture of Russell Brand can let you know what this is going to be about. But it's really going to be a conversation about the whys and the hows. And it's not, I'll say right out loud immediately, it is not to cast doubt on any victim or anyone giving a statement or anyone that has been hurt in regards to the allegations in any way or about the incidences themselves. Because here's the thing, let's just get this right out on the table right away. None of these allegations have been brought to authorities yet. There is no legal ramifications of this. There's no civil case. There's no legal case, criminal or otherwise. So what we're looking at here, in my humble opinion, of a bear with no law degree and just a microphone, we're looking at trial by media. We're looking at a way to get the stories out there with actually none of the authorities weighing in on it. So there'll be no evidence. There'll be no jury. There'll be no real justice unless you call the irrevocable damage of one's career justice. Now, I'm not going to say that in given this situation, if I was someone who felt violated by a person with a great career and came to terms with it years later, wouldn't want to have my voice. I actually think everybody's voice should be heard. But the way this is being done, forgive me for soapboxing a little bit, but even if these allegations are absolutely true, and Russell Brand himself acknowledges he was an unsavory, if not vile, and he actually uses the word vile, human at one point in his life. And he may still be. But it's the how that really, really has me riled up. The how this is being done. And we've talked about this in other cases. Just recently with Kohlberger, with the Upchurch case, several cases to where people crossed the lines and went too far, interfering with investigations, interfering with how things are presented, trial by media. It's really distasteful for me. And I didn't want to jump on the bandwagon and say anything in regards to innocent or guilt on either party. These are all just allegations. But at least let's just look at the whole thing, right? Okay, we'll look at the whole thing. And first, let me look at some questions that are coming up already, and then we'll just get into it. I want to welcome Just Rhonda is a member again. Thank you for rejoining. It's nice to have you here. I always enjoy seeing you. And yes, I agree. The topic itself is a rough one. So welcome to Murder Minions, love. Okay. The topic itself, a lot of people have said that they want to avoid. Okay. Juju asked the question, was he demonetized on YouTube? Yes, that was confirmed by a YouTube representative through an article that I read today. Hold on one second and I will tell you who. The New York Times said that he was a spokesman for YouTube said in an email that Mr. Brand, whose channel on the platform has 6.6 million subscribers, was suspended for violating YouTube's creator responsibility policy. And in there, she quoted from that policy, if a creator's off-platform behavior harms our users, employees, or ecosystem, we take action to protect the community. said the spokeswoman. Uh, they did not respond to an inquiry about how long the suspension would last or if it was permanent. Um, he was suspended from earning ad revenue or anything. He could still post. He still has his channel. It's not taken down, but they're not going to put advertisers on it. Then creator policy is the one that means your outside life outside of YouTube is being judged on you. And this is their nice way, in Bear's interpretation, of saying you're causing us a lot of emails and headache. People are messaging us about you. We don't have the time or resources for this. We have to do something so it stops. And so advertisers, whatnot, complaints handled. It looks like they did something. And they did. They hurt his income and his revenue. There's 6.6 million viewers. And he must have been making something on that AdSense. Exactly. Mandy, I hear you. And you know what, Mandy? I didn't even have to look over into the chat. I just got the vibe, just the vibe that you were. Yes, creator responsibility. Oh, yeah. Have they not seen the drug use and abuse that's on their platform? Exactly. Or child, yes. But if you talk about it, it's going to be a problem. Absolutely. It's ridiculous. Okay. What that really means is you're giving them a headache. And that's how they deal with it. Yep, Rhonda, don't we like free speech? Sure we do in the First Amendment. Now, I would like to ask you, did hearing about this in any way on the media cause anyone great harm? What is it about his outside is causing harm to the users? The fact that he exists, the fact that an article was written and he was accused of things, this is causing great harm to the users. Do you see what I mean by a media firestorm? He's being tried. He's like, the damage is done in 5 days. In 5 days, the damage to Russell Brand's career is done. We've seen this happen before. And it's not a matter of whether these allegations are true or not. It's a matter of how it's being done. To me, and I'm going to put it all out there, it started, we all know, with this article that I have linked below. The Sunday Times in New York, in England, along with Channel 4, did a press release, article release, and a documentary type release. They spoke to they have 4 women's statements in the article and in the documentary. And there are some issues with it that I would like to point out. First of all, that's the first article. They're allowed to say and do what they want. Okay. I do find it to be interesting, some of the details that are in the article. So can't really weigh in on allegations being true or not. But I would like to put my very first question out there to the chat. If these things that they say have happened, and we've got allegations of being involved with a 16-year-old when he was 31, which in England would not be against the law or criminal, unsavory, inappropriate, perhaps, depending on how you're looking at it and who's involved. But criminal? No, not. All right. We're looking at the other allegations that are being made are all with partners that have admit to having an ongoing sexual relationship with Russell Brand. There's long been rumors of being uncomfortable around him. He often walked around naked or in his underwear. This is years ago. And he was known for it. He talked about it often. He talked about having a drug problem that when he was treated for and went on for, moved on into a sex addiction problem, which he's also been treated for. He has moved forward with his life. He's been honest about it all along. But it seems like it's more what he talks about that's being targeted for a hit campaign than not. And you know what? I don't agree with what he talks about. I don't. He's a COVID denier. He's a conspiracist. He's what I would call an edgelord. He's talking about all the things to get people riled up or to look at things a little way. He'll wave a little flag about, well, this is the truth. And I think anybody that comes out and has to start a sentence with, "But I'm being persecuted because I'm telling the truth," is probably more an edgelord than a truth sayer. Okay, I get that. But it's his right? Just like everyone's. And if he is causing damage with the information, if they do find that his COVID rhetoric is causing damage, then I believe that that content should be taken down for misinformation and causing harm. But to say he can't advertise because he's causing users because of his outside private life damage, that's a little contrarian to me. He's not been convicted of anything. He's not even been charged with anything. He's not up for any assault charges. He's not up for any abuse charges. He's not up for anything to do with children or drugs or anything illegal. There are no criminal charges. There's not even civil case against him currently. Exactly. I'm just, it just First Amendment, you could talk about what you want, but I do believe that YouTube can exercise their right on misinformation. I mean, fact checking is a thing, but you can talk about what you want and back it up with what you want. I mean, gosh, to this day, you can find channels everywhere still talking about the debate on flat Earth. Come on, or whether science exists. So come on, he can't talk about what he wants that's causing harm. Listen, and I can't believe I'm out here speaking about his First Amendment rights this way when one of the first people I saw support him, and I had, okay, get ready for this, people. Like, call me snarky B all you want, but I had an existential crisis the other day in discussing in the Discord this issue about how the media is going crazy with this. And I found a video on Twitter by none other than Ben Shapiro. That's right, people. I actually said the name Ben Shapiro on my channel. Yes, I did. Hold on to your panties. It's not that bad, although it could be. I agreed with almost everything he said. That's right. Pick up your jaw. I had to pick up mine. I agreed with him. It looks very suspicious the way this is all coming out like this. All very organized. All very, is it more about what he's saying than what he's doing? Because he did, during the time that these events happened, which are all in the past, by the way, nothing recent, all in the past that he wrote books about, all in the past that he was out here actually talking about it and admitting it and not trying to hide it. But he's saying that everything was consensual that happened. And some of the things that are being reported, it gets a little hazy. You don't want to doubt people for how they felt, okay? But if they felt that way, there are things that they could have been done. And if they came to a stronger conclusion now, years later, that they were violated in some way, why are not the authorities involved, especially in England? Because there's no statute of limitations on anything done to you without consent. It's different there than here. Now, because of these allegations, I did hear the rumor, but I do not have. It was just stated in a couple of articles that I saw fleetingly. No names, no proof. But they do say that someone did go to the authorities in England after seeing this article and report on another event that may have happened. And if that does come to fruit and there is an investigation on that, we'll bring it forward. Okay. Hey, wild darlings. Nice to see you. And Turtle moves and so many of you coming in. I'm sorry I can't say hi individually to everyone as it's happening. It's hard to keep on track, especially with the subject I don't really want to offend anybody with. But this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy how this is going down. I support anyone who feels that they were violated in any way. You guys know me. I'm the do not treat anyone less than. Okay. And if they felt less than and they feel something was done against them, they should say something. But there's a way to do it. This looks organized. This looks like it makes me think, why now? Who's behind this? Okay. Channel 4, which was the broadcasting company that Russell Brand did work for in the past, had a talk show on there. And the Sunday Times, another, they're coordinating together these pieces. It looks very hit. It very does. It looks like a campaign. And who's behind it? Just when Russell Brand starts talking, and this is his new talking point, about how mass media now is owned by just a few, and that they all have agendas, political agendas and personal agendas, and are wielding the media in such way that it's more pay for play anymore. And tell me, can any of us say that that's not what we see? This is what is very concerning to me. If you don't want Russell Brand to talk or you disagree with his talking points, then challenge them or don't listen to him. Yep. Yep. Now they're backpedaling because he worked there, right, Mandy? They go out and put out all the allegations, and some of them just happen to happen while he worked for them. So, I don't understand. And they're backpedaling now. Okay, but they said that they did all of this investigation. Then how did they not know that it happened during their time? Okay. The Sunday Times came out and said that they were made aware of these allegations all the way back in 2019. Okay. And that a reporter that works for the Sunday Times began investigating, speaking to sources in comedy, show business, and the film industry. For 4 years, they've been working on this article. For 4 years. And yet, in that 4 years, the people they spoke to have not done anything civilly against Russell Brand for what was a violation. Okay. They have not done anything criminally against Russell Brand, but the violation. Okay. I'll tell you, it just smells. The whole thing smells to me. It really does. And so I thought the best thing to do was to come out and speak a little bit about it because it was everywhere I went and my DMs were getting flooded. Welcome to membership, T King. It's nice to have you back. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm just going through the chat a little bit right now. Hi, Sean. Hi, Anna. Karen. I've already said hi to Mandy. Fish Nerd. Shill, it's nice to see you. Mrs. Cassandra, Grace. Liam, it's always good to have you here. Just Rhonda, I did mention you before, but thank you for hanging. My husband said that we've known about Russell for decades just because he was towing the Hollywood Weird line and they did nothing. Exactly. They said when they hired women that he was quite aggressive. He's a big flirt. There's a clip of him on the Jimmy Fallon show, not taking really, being quite flirty with Catherine McPhee. But then once he found out she was married, he just said to her, I didn't know you were married. I'm out. And he left. He left the show. He didn't want to make her uncomfortable. But I mean, some people are flirty uncomfortable. He admitted to having a problem. Now, was that his personality, and then sometimes he was working that problem into his shtick as far as, his comedy and everything? Maybe. I'm not going to say that his behavior was okay. That's the last thing I'm going to say up here is that Russell Brand ever acted okay. Okay, but did he admit to crossing lines in being a little aggressive and being a big flirt and a sex addict and having to have sex with a lot of people, and he had several people that he had these relationships with. Okay, so you can understand that if you're in a relationship with someone like Russell Brand, how misunderstandings can happen. And now I'm not saying the women are wrong. Please don't get me wrong. This is not going to be about whether what they're saying is true or not. What this conversation is about is what do you see playing out here? One of the things I want to play for you, I gave you the article, how it all started. And then in that light, if you'll tolerate it, I think the only fair thing to do is to actually share Russell's video, his answer to it, because there's two sides to everything. I'm going to try to get it up there so that it's nice and big. And it's only a couple minutes long, but I want you to see what he says and how he talks, and then I'll give you the article that has his actual words for word in it. Let me just take that banner off so it doesn't interfere. Okay. Hopefully this will play all the way through. Let me know if you have any trouble with the sound or anything. It's 2 minutes 45.
Hello there, you Awakening Wonders. Now, this isn't the usual type of video we make on this channel where we critique, attack, and undermine the news in all its corruption, because in this story, I am the news. I've received 2 extremely disturbing letters, or a letter and an email, one from a mainstream media TV company, one from a newspaper, listing a litany of extremely egregious and aggressive attacks, as well as some pretty stupid stuff like my community festival should be stopped, that I shouldn't be able to attack mainstream media narratives on this channel. But amidst this litany of astonishing, rather baroque attacks are some very serious allegations that I absolutely refute. These allegations pertain to the time when I was working in the mainstream, when I was in the newspapers all the time, when I was in the movies. And as I've written about extensively in my books, I was very, very promiscuous. Now, during that time of promiscuity, the relationships I had were absolutely always consensual. I was always transparent about that then, almost too transparent. And I'm being transparent about it now as well. And to see that transparency metastasized into something criminal that I absolutely deny makes me question, is there another agenda at play? Particularly when we've seen coordinated media attacks before, like with Joe Rogan, when he dared to take a medicine that the mainstream media didn't approve of. And we saw a spate of headlines from media outlets across the world using the same language. I'm aware that you guys have been saying in the comments for a while, watch out, Russell, they're coming for you. You're getting too close to the truth. Russell Brand did not kill himself. I know that a year ago, there was a spate of articles. Russell Brand's a conspiracy theorist. Russell Brand's right wing. I'm aware of news media making phone calls, sending letters to people I know for ages and ages. It's been clear to me, or at least it feels to me, like there's a serious and concerted agenda to control these kind of spaces and these kind of voices. And I mean my voice along with your voice. I don't mind them using my books and my stand-up to talk about my promiscuous consensual conduct in the past. What I seriously refute are these very, very serious criminal allegations. Also, it's worth mentioning that there are witnesses whose evidence directly contradicts the narratives that these 2 mainstream media outlets are trying to construct, apparently in what seems to me to be a coordinated attack. Now, I don't want to get into this any further because of the serious nature of the allegations, but I feel like I'm being attacked, and plainly they are working very closely together. We are obviously going to look into this matter because it's very, very serious. In the meantime, I want you to stay close, stay awake, but more important than any of that, if you can, please stay free.
Okay, now that was Russell's response. Now, it seems like he knew that this article was going to be released. When he says mainstream media company, he's talking about Channel 4. And when he talks about the actual newspaper, he's talking about the Sunday Times, the Times in the UK. They were very specific. But you hear what he says, they said in the letter, you shouldn't be talking out about the media. Like I caught that. Did you? So they put that in a letter, like, hush up. It's not like a threat. Now, it could be that Russell is putting it out there this way to have us perceive that he's being threatened first to go against it. But a man with his vile background, admittedly so, he's used the word vile, so I feel comfortable saying it. He said he's treated people less than, like just to satisfy his needs. Yes, he's called about unsavory behavior. He was promiscuous. He didn't care. All right? He had a problem. He dealt with it. But if he was so open then, like, why? If these things were happening then, are there no reports? There wasn't even rumors. All the rumors about Russell Brand were that he was handsy and aggressive, and if you had a skirt, he might want to have something with you. But there was never any rumors about not accepting the word no. There were never any rumors about anything being done against anybody's will. Now, there's two sides to that. He was very well connected with a publicist and a lawyer at the time with a hot career, and they may have gone out of their way to squelch those stories. That could be true. But with this coming to light, wouldn't we hear about those now? Wouldn't those people be coming out about being paid to be quiet? I think so. I think that other shoe would have dropped already. It's been 5 or 6 days. In a media fire like this, you need to watch where it's burning. And this one's only burning in one direction. It's not circling the wagons all the way around him. It's burning in one direction, coming from one direction. Normally, as we've seen with other cases, people come out of the woodwork and everything comes all over the place, all at once. They'll be flying out. But I don't hear anything from back then. I don't hear anybody coming out and saying they were paid to be quiet. So I'm thinking maybe it wasn't really a problem that had to be squelched. That's how I wrestled with that one in my head. I'm speaking out loud here about the process that I've been going through in the last few days since this happened. Watching it unfold. I'm just speaking out loud with you guys, hoping to have some interaction that can... My DMs have been full of people confused. I don't like him as a person, but I've got a really bad feeling about what's going on. And that has been repeated to me over and over again. Just Rhonda says, I have to say I've avoided the topic because I thought I was in the minority of thinking something is shady. You're not. You know, I speak against abuse all the time. I'm an advocate for victims, men included. Okay, but I'm also not going to let movements get hijacked against people and careers get ruined without somebody saying something that this is what I see. And I'm with you, Just Rhonda. Something doesn't seem right here. And you're right, Fish Nerd. And we all know people don't change. Aren't we filling diapers daily yet? I get the sarcasm, Fish Nerds. We know. Like, why now? That's been top on my list of questions. Why now? Liam, he is lecherous. He's predatory. I will agree. He looks for those that he could have his way with. He's predatory that way. But criminal? I'm not sure. I haven't heard an exact statement yet from the BBC KCG. The dude is slimy, true, but we need to hold judgment till he actually has legal charges against him at least. Exactly. Well, we can have our opinion and judgment that he's slimy, but to actually accuse him of criminal stuff without following the process to actually provide criminal information to the authorities? Like, why are you speaking to the media, not the authorities, if it's a criminal? And why are the accusations being made by the media instead of everything being turned over? Okay. I never liked Russell Brand, but he still deserves justice and not a trial by the media. Exactly. My point exactly. And if you take anything away from this conversation that we're having today, that is what I'm going to stand on. You don't have to like him. Well, he deserves fairness. Unfortunately, our justice system isn't like in the US. A nurse who killed a number of babies just got convicted and she now lives in a nicer place than a Holiday Inn. It's disgusting. I will admit, fangirl, that English prison system is pretty cushy. They are pretty nice compared to the US. You treat them humanely. Absolutely. It was annoying the way he kept using his hands. And that's another thing. Does anyone have opinions about the body language or how he was speaking? Some people say it looks like he rehearsed it. I don't. He actually looked like a man based on his other things I've seen him do. That was pretty... He may have had points. There was some editing. I saw a comment about the glitch. I think it was Anna. And I think that's editing. But it is very interesting what he cuts out and what he left in. Because I did notice there was some sharp glitch editing there, which means he did it quickly, which I don't think, if he did write down notes, they weren't really rehearsed. He's an emphatic speaker. I've seen him speak with his hands like this before, Hawkskull, but you're right. It was a bit much. It was a little Little much to get around. Liam says, I'm not a fan of his comedy, opinions, or him in general, but people being tried in public media when it should be in court pisses me off. Exactly. Because they're actually alluding to criminal offenses here. Okay. Sex without consent is a crime, no matter who it's with, married, partner, anyone. Sex without consent is a crime. And it should have been handled that way instead of in the media. And I think that's where a lot of the backlash is coming from. Okay. And it is very hard to believe anything without seeing evidence. It is. And I'm not going to say that a victim's testimony can't be used in solo to a crime. It can, because I just saw a trial where there was no physical evidence but the victim's statements as to why things were delayed and not reported, and actually the events that happened. And I saw a guilty verdict. And you know what? I'm comfortable with it because I believed the witnesses. I believed the victims. I believed their statements. And that is possible. They don't actually need physical evidence of any of this for it to be true. It could have happened. My question is, why are they bringing it to the media instead of the authorities? You know? I think we need evidence that it happened, like collaboration of actually them being at the house at the time or the time frame. But I don't think we're ever going to have evidence of what actually happened between the two of them because of the timing of it. And I don't think that that's going to be possible. I don't believe him on that level. I do believe he may have crossed lines. Okay. I do believe he may have caused uncomfortable situations with many people, with many of his partners. He does admit to being aggressive. He does admit to being single-minded at the time to just accomplishing his goal of having sex. I'm sure there are plenty of people who feel that they were treated like meat or he was too aggressive. They're talking about him glazing over. They're trying to make him into a monster. And if he was, did they not have a responsibility to come forward and prevent other people from being like that? It's another point. I don't know if I believe everything because I would be pissed if something happened to me and a reporter had evidence and didn't do anything for 4 years, letting him do it again. Bingo. Yeah. This is upsetting for me. That's a very good point, fangirl. Fair point. All right. Could it be the right turn? You mean because he's speaking more conservatively now and he does have a lot of conservative friends? Look at the people who are actually supporting him right now. Tucker Carlson, Ben Shapiro, Alex Jones. When I tell you I had to agree with Ben Shapiro, that's stuck in my throat. I really did have a problem with it because I don't normally. I think he's too conservative and too willing to bring everything on how we live, whether or not we got married as virgins, live the perfect, second-class citizen lifestyle that he promotes. But I have to say on this about the media fire and being tried in the media, he's got some valid points. The question going around the media that I follow is about coerced consent. Now that is something that brought me to YouTube, Hawk Skull, because let's talk about that. If he was a popular star, and it happens with movie stars, musicians, anybody, even people like politicians, or even a professor at a school, anyone in a authoritative or a hierarchy type system, someone we look up to, is that not like an imbalance in power and authority? And does true consent exist? That's always been a question that I want to put out there. And it's probably too big a conversation for tonight. But I ask you all to consider it. Where are the blurred lines on whether you felt like you had to or not? Because, I mean, wives say that all the time about being in a marriage and doing their wifely duties. Like maybe they just didn't feel like it, but they just give in. But that doesn't mean they didn't consent. just because it wasn't like your favorite thing to do, or you really didn't feel like, I was in the mood. It depends on whether they actually emphatically said no. Okay. And it also means, I don't mean you have to screen out. You can be coerced. I mean, grooming does exist. You can be coerced. But I think it's a dangerous area to go down, to think that I don't like being perceived as a woman, that I wouldn't not speak up for myself. I'm not saying that you don't receive the kinds of pressure that you could get into a coerced situation. Um, we've all had situations that we may have been uncomfortable with, I think, in some type, maybe not sexually, but in all kinds of situations. But we have to take our part of the responsibility for either not doing anything about it or going along. There is a decision making process there that has to be looked into, because it's not like you automatically just do things. It's not like they automatically just sit thing, unless it was in what they would call, there are cases where it is a consistent situation, constant, and that some of the responses would become automatic. Well, these women are not talking about that. They're talking about single incidences, and they were in relationships with him before. Um, could there have been miscommunication and blurred lines? Absolutely. Could everything that they're saying be absolutely true? Yes, it could. What if he did something criminal, like violate you without consent? You definitely should be talking to the authorities. Okay, well, let's go on to some of the other reasons why I'm doubting this. And to be fair, on the point, just to make, all right, I'm going to give you Ben Shapiro's comment, because I'm not playing Ben Shapiro on my channel. I'm sorry, but here's the link to his Twitter, where he has a small 28-minute video on there, clip, about his statement about this. If you want to check it out, I will be that fair. Okay. This is the link to the article on how the Times has been investigating this for 4 years, which I found a little enlightening, that they held all these back. Okay. I definitely question that. But the one thing I want to play is see if I can make it big enough. Okay. For those of you that said they didn't want to discuss this because they did not want to come out to appear. And I think I understand the issue. You don't want to appear that you're not believing victims. You don't want to be victim shaming. You don't want to not be an advocate for anyone that suffered abuse or anything done to them against their consent. And I understand that. Okay. And I think we may all be able to agree that the name Rose McGowan, as far as victim advocacy, she's been strong on it, I'd have to say. And I would like to play her statement that hit Twitter yesterday, which she had quite a few fair points that I would have to say I may agree with. So let me bring that up for you next. I'm sorry I can't make it much bigger than this, but it's going to be what she says that matters, or not viewing. Hopefully the sound is loud enough. Let me know.
Let me start this by saying I stand with all victims. I think what's being done right now in the Russell Brand case with The Guardian and the other news outlets is part of a concerted effort to turn the public in general against anybody who comes out. And one of the reasons and ways they're doing this is a concerted effort to bend journalistic rules that have always been in place, such as having to be on the record with who you are and what your name is in order to accuse. I didn't make these rules. These are the rules. They were the rules. So there's something very strange going on when these rules are being bent in order to push a narrative. It's almost like Icarus flew too close to the sun. He's a low-lying fish and not one of the truly powerful, so he can be thrown to the wolves. I don't know if he's guilty. I don't know if he's innocent. That's not what this is about. This is about driving us further apart, and mainstream media and media outlets protecting people on a higher up level from true consequence, from what they're really doing and what they're really getting away with. And the real losers in this are actual victims. I'm sorry and hurt for anybody who's been hurt. But this narrative and the way it's being done is just pushing this culture war, pushing us farther apart, and pushing any gains gotten by people believing accusers to the edge. And this is a way to have us not be believed. This is not the way the reporting is done. You have to go on the record. It has always been that way. I didn't make it so. It didn't make me happy to have to do so. Neither did it make others happy to have to do so. But to blindly and anonymously accuse, none of these high-level journalistic outlets would have ever let this be published before. So I have to ask why? Why now? What is the true narrative they're pushing?
Okay. Rose is a victim advocate, and she's saying that even the way they're doing this is damaging to victims, including the ones with the allegations. Because I have to make this note here. When Channel 4 brought out this documentary, they didn't use the names of the accusers, and they used actors to portray all of the emotion in the words, in the statements. Now, in a true documentary style, usually the people speak for themselves. So you can blur them or alter their voice or even change their name for protection. And I do believe that. But what Rose is trying to point out here is that in this case, the Sunday Times, the Times, and Channel 4 are really going against all of the ways that victims come forward in strength with protection and rules and regulations that you can actually come out and make your allegation. But you have to stand behind it. This sounds like all cloak and dagger. I kind of agree with her. And it's going to make it very sketch if this is allowed to keep coming. I mean, this is going to be damaging because they're not actually filing charges or handling it appropriately. It makes it look bad for anyone that has a story like this that needs to be told, that wants to go to authorities. Makes it a little easier not to believe. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I don't think I'm alone in this, right? There are no questions yet. There are questions, but there are no charges. We all know the cost of bad journalism. Yes, it ruins lives. Yep, I hear you. Exactly. MSM is mainstream media. Yes, Rhonda. And those of us that have been on the fringe here trying to look at true crime, we've been getting more and more dismayed because they're actually interfering on whether we can actually get information anymore because of what they're doing with the information. Let's just see. Let me get down to here. I agree, just Rhonda. If you're talking about his video, he's a very animated speaker. I've seen him on talk shows. It's like crazy watching his hands fly. You know, really. And we're talking about Katy Perry. Yes, he married Katy Perry in 2010. 14 months they were together before divorcing, and it took almost a year. They were divorced by 2012. Mandy says, I also have issues that what I call the Kobe Bryant women don't go to the men's homes and our hotel rooms at 2 a.m. alone. That's a boot call. It is. And if you read the statements, there's a woman who says that she's had these booty calls and these calls with him, and that when she showed up, he was completely naked and ready. And she showed up in the middle of the night. She walked into his bedroom. And then when he actually was fondling her and everything, as sometimes couples that have had sex together before will do, especially since he's already said that's what he wanted to do, she then said no, but he jumped off her and stopped. And then she said she got upset because he was so angry about it. But I mean, he did touch her with his hand and everything, as that's what she's saying. But I'm saying like that, may not be so unusual in this kind of situation. He was trying to get her clothes off and talk to her, and that might be how they have approached it. But once she did say no and pushed him away, he jumped off and got mad. Yes, but he didn't violate her. And she grabbed her shoes and ran out, but she admits that she was not assaulted. She said, well, she feels humiliated and assaulted in a way because she didn't want to have sex in the middle of whatever, but she was not hard at all. Exactly. Why are they not going to the authorities? If it happened to me, I would want them to be charged. Especially, see, here's the thing. Now, I understand victims not wanting their stories out there because, let's be honest, it's degrading, it's humiliating, it's violation of you. You were treated less than, like you had no choice. You were treated like meat. Who wants to go and admit that that happened? That somebody actually thought of you that way? It's hard. It's humiliating. I understand that they don't want to go to the authorities to have that happen, but to go to the media with it, let it be out there anyway, and not go to the authorities, this I don't understand. Because the normal reason you don't go to the authorities is you don't want to go through the humiliating process of everybody knowing. But here they go to the media and they let everybody know. You see, this is what doesn't sit right with me. And he's admitted to being slimy publicly. Exactly. Is this just like low-hanging fruit? Easy target? Who did Russell Brand piss off? That's what I want to know. What did he do? Who did he piss off? What threatening letter did he not obey? This is yeah. Yeah, Tucker is supporting him. A lot of right-wing talkers, commentary, some conspiracists. I mean, he has been there, but now I know that Claire loves me. I I actually do, Liam. I love my friends. Yes, I do. I am going to use your screenshots, Mandy, if that's okay with you. I am. I'm going to bring up why I think one of the other testimonies about the particular person who spoke about the condom, that she agreed to the sex and everything, but she was upset about him taking off a condom and then continuing, and he admitted to her some things. I think that that's it. First, I'll get it out there. If you've agreed to have sex in a certain way, that's your agreed. You have consented to have sex in a certain way. And if that scenario changes at any time, including during, okay, because there are all kinds of ways to have sex and things can happen. There are acts that should be discussed beforehand, before happening. But in some cases, there may be a miscommunication. When the word no or that's not our agreement comes out, and I've talked to quite a few gentlemen over this week, you stop. No, consent is not there. Now, I spoke with brothers, I spoke with cousins, I spoke with friends, male, female, everyone. I spoke to at least 15 people about this week. Now, that's not a lot to run a whole survey, so to speak, or a poll. But for me, it made me comfortable that not one of them thought that should not happen, right? In almost every case, Russell stopped when he heard the word no. But apparently these text messages are being put out here as if he didn't. And I want to address those. Okay. Let me just pull it up. I'm assuming I have your permission, Mandy, because it was publicly I mean, these are public, posted everywhere and worked on. But in the article, there's this text message that goes back and forth. This woman is not very happy about what happened. And he apologizes. He said he went too far. He should not have been aggressive, whatever. But it does look like the text message that they're putting out there has been altered. In other words, the responses are crooked, as it says. Let me get it up so you can see it. I just realized I didn't have it all the way up. All right. I'm going to just put it up there instead of me. And the way this is done, the text itself is crooked, which would show that the picture itself has been taken of the text messages and altered in some way. It's been edited, because we all know when you look at your text messaging in your thing, it's pretty perpendicular. It's done automatically by a system. There's no way for it to like that, unless it's been cut and pasted in. And then you don't get it exactly right. The other thing is a font change and bold in the middle of a text. Is that possible on your phone? Because it's not possible on mine. Okay. I don't know of any way that can happen in a regular text message. Again, crooked answer. Crooked answer doesn't line up. Look at the spacing even between the date, and you can see that it's all messed up. It truly does look to me like it was cut and paste. Maybe they're eliminating other parts of the conversation. Now, there's two things that could happen. They edited it. What did happen is it got used to promote a story in a certain light. Whether these are his words or not, and they could be, it has been edited to actually portray things in a very certain way. That is very evident. And why is none of it in bubbles? Exactly. Mandy, I agree. I agree. There's so much about this, guys. You know, there's also information coming out from other women he has slept with where reporters are trying to pressure them to say he assaulted. Exactly. See, they've been working on this for 4 years. And I asked you this very question occurred to me it's been bugging me since last night. When I read the article on how they did the investigation, and that reporter admits that since 2019, she's been checking into this. They have 4 people coming forward. They do the documentary. Not one of them will go on camera. All of their words are being said by actresses or portrayed in a certain way. 4 out of how many? Russell Brand admits to thousands, in the double digits, maybe 10, like thousands of women. And he's talking about having multiple encounters a day during this period of time. Women are saying that the media themselves were pressuring them to portray things in a certain way. And whether these stories, these allegations are true or not, the true fact that the media is portraying it in a very specific and worst case light is absolutely a fact. You only have to look at what they're putting out there. You got a documentary that doesn't have real people in it. You have allegations that are being made that no one has gone to authorities on. They say they did a really good investigation, but they forgot to find out that one of the women was saying it happened at Channel 4 and they actually threw themselves under the bus. But that's how thorough their investigation is. They're confident that after 4 years, they can come forward with these 4 women's allegations to ruin a man's career. This is not about justice for the women. This is about, in my humble opinion, Russell Brand, sit down and shut up. This really looks like somebody's mad at Russell. He's a target for some reason. Is he likable? No. Do I think he could make people uncomfortable and push the envelope? Yes. Do I think he's getting railroaded by the media? Absolutely. The pile-on is unbelievable. What? Thank you for the screenshots, Mandy, and to Rocket Couch too, who also sent some. I really appreciate when you guys share information with us in the Discord and in private DMs to help actually look at these stories, incidences like this actually more in detail, because the more information we have, the better, right? I don't want to look at it only one way. Just this is a close-up of that word means, just so that you see, like, whoops, what we're talking about with the bold there. This was a good close-up that our friend Mandy got for us. She didn't put the hand on there so we could see it. Do you see how it gets bold and the font changes? Let me just like pull it up there so you can see the hand. Do you see that? That is part of the message there on the original that's put into the article. It just doesn't look right to me. You could see the faint line above it where she's pointing. There's a faint white line there that normally doesn't appear in anything that I'm doing unless I've cut and paste something in. And what's really curious to me is that that's where she said no. The only time she said no in the whole thing, because she admitted, in that they've had a lot of consensual sex prior. I'm not saying that she didn't feel uncomfortable or something happened. I don't want to victim shame here, but I am going to say that the way that this is coming out is wrong. And it looks shady. It looks really shady. And I wanted you all to be able to talk about it without that uncomfortable feeling we're all getting, like we're going to get attacked for victim shaming. We're not. I think all of us would feel for victims. We're just saying there's two sides to a story. And if any of this is true, they should go to the authorities. They should. Yup, the smudge rocket couch. Yes, absolutely. All of it. And it says, don't get me wrong. I think you will be in trouble for other things, but I'm not sure about this one. Exactly. I think okay, let's just put it out there. Do I think he's a great human? No, I think he was a horrible human in the past. Do I know enough about him now to think he's a good human? No. Do I think he's possible of change? Yes. Do I have suspicions as to why after all this time they're coming forward? Yes. Do I have suspicions because of how they're coming forward? Yes. Do I think it's the women entitled trying to come at him? No. I'm actually of the opinion that their statements are being manipulated and used to target Russell Brand, and that it may not have been their idea. Because if it took 4 years to come up with 4 people that won't go on screen with you, there's an issue. Don't call it a documentary. Call it one of those paid for TV movie things, where the actors portray everybody and you get to say whatever you want. Because, sorry, Channel 4, that's what that was. Right? I mean, that's what I'm thinking it is. Yup. Rhonda, you're speaking my language here. No sworn affidavits, no police reports, only Yup. Mass. Only the social media garbage. Mainstream media garbage, which still pulls the agenda that, everybody ganged up on Amber Heard. Where's the money going? Everybody knows that, Heard was a Rupert darling. And then mainstream media still toes the line. She should have just been believed, even though everything she said, most of it was a lie and could be proven. We had to believe a liar because she was female, and part of me too. Not me. No, not me. I went with the evidence. I want to go with the evidence on this one too, but it's not coming forward. The only evidence I can find in the mainstream media, since they're the ones that put it out there, leaves me with a lot of doubt. A lot of doubt. Hey, Ox, how are you doing? I'm doing okay, and I'm glad to see you. I hope you're having a good day. Hey, y'all, it's Createful. It's good to see you too. Crazy Cats, anybody else? Oh, Wrecker, hello. Good to see you too. Anybody coming in that I missed, Mainstream media. Yup. I get every time I see it, I think MSN, like this one station, and I know that's not what you mean. And I just get hooked up. Like, I just get hooked up on it. Mainstream media also said, don't believe what you see with her. Don't trust yourself. Exactly. It's crazy. So we've been here before, right? Call it what it is. The National Enquirer expose. Yes, a trash rag. A trash rag story. Exactly. Exactly. Just like aliens having babies, like at the Walmart, right, Mandy? Yeah, I hear you. I'm just looking at it back. Now, does that mean I think that Russell Brand didn't do anything? I'm sure people are uncomfortable. I guarantee you that people have been uncomfortable in relations and in transactions in social events with Russell Brand. He was edgy, rude, vile. He admits it. He was gropey. I mean, you could watch it in his interviews. He was a handsy person. He'd be the one to put his hand on your shoulder and slide it down to your butt unless you said something. I get that. Being a slime ball is not illegal. Is it uncomfortable? Yes. Is it wrong? Yes. Does it treat people less than? Yes, yes, yes. Am I totally against it? Yes. Do I think it should change? Yes. Is it criminal? Hell no. All right. Now, we've seen lots of people get called out for less and get their careers ruined. But this totally looked targeted. And it totally fit along how I've been thinking lately about true crime in general and how mainstream media is really making it a problem for everyone to get transparency in court filings and court hearings because of how they use the info. Because they don't do what they used to do, which is give the facts and let us decide for ourselves. Now it's let me just take this piece of information, turn it into a grandstand story and $100,000 and spin it any way I want. And who cares if that's not what really happened? It could have happened. There's a slight possibility that you could look at it this way. So let me just put it out there like that. What happened to the facts? What happened to real information? Like, are you guys like me? Do you have trouble going through the feeds every day just trying to find the real information? Thank you, Anna. Me too. And thank you, Anna, for being the one of the people who contribute facts, who actually will make sure something is true before sending it off as something we should look at or whatever. So thank you for that. I think that those of you that contribute to these conversations and to what we talk about here, you all try very hard to make sure something checks out and it's not just a rumor or these. Or, for other shows that I do, like on the weekends, it's okay to share stuff that's not exactly true and say, look at that rumor or look at this funny or let's make fun of that. And we do it. Yes, we do. But we don't come out here and say that it's true. We don't. I trust verified evidence. I do too. I believe in opinion. Everyone should be able to have one. I get that. But don't come out and do a documentary like you're telling a story that's true to ruin someone. But don't you think acknowledging when he was, asking for forgiveness, getting help, going to recover, there's something to be said for that? I absolutely do. I think that he has been so damn transparent that I find it very difficult to believe that he did things against consent. I really do, because he owned who he was at the time, even while it was going on, Mandy. Not just now. He's not like coming here now and saying, oh, yeah, well, that was then and I'm not like that anymore. And like, please forgive me. No, he acknowledged it while it was going on and he was getting help. And he did. So like he was so out there with it. And I really think we would have heard more about it. It was what everybody talked about. And when, people like Ben Shapiro say, yeah, they celebrated it then. He was edgy. They loved it. He was a comedian. He was in Hollywood. It was all good then, but now he's not speaking their language anymore. And he's speaking other language and once. He's got too much of a presence. People might listen to him. That's what Ben Shapiro said. Is it because people might listen to him that he's being shut up? And does he have a valid point? I don't know. Is Does it look like he's trying to be shut up? Yup, it sure does. It sure does. Thank you so much, Shill. We know the damage irresponsible journalists cause. I sent you a Kofi. Did you get red panda bear ears? No, I didn't. But these are just temporary ones. These don't look like cat ears, but they're cute. No, they don't. They're like fuzzy fox ears with pink in centers. They kind of matched my hair. I stuck them on. You brought up the ears, and now I had to say I really do miss my ears, and I really hope that we find them soon. I do. I'm just very careful on my channel about making sure I'm giving provable facts. If I'm not sure, I say I'm not sure, or that I'm speculating. Exactly, Just Rhonda. And we all, you guys over there at Foul Play and myself, we kind of run the same kind of thing that way. If we're being biased, we'll say so. We'll say why, because of what we saw. We will say why we're weighing in a certain way, if I'm feeling and leaning. But I do bring all the information for everybody to make up their own mind. I don't want anybody to lean a certain way just based on something I say. And I know you guys are so careful too about making sure we put out information that's true and that people can gather their own opinions on, And I have great respect for you guys that way. And that's what upsets me. Why this reported on when he was doing it? Why now that he's clean, married, and has children? Why ruin someone's life? Exactly. And because it's not because they really feel they were violated in that way. If they did, why is there not allegations in the court? Why did not, why isn't there more in the proper way about it? Right, Mandy? I understand it. It takes time to process trauma. I get that. And believe me, I'm out here speaking all the time on statute of limitations and the reasons that they should be amended, and that not every victim can process the same way, especially those of violent assault and violent crimes. It takes time to be strong enough to come forward. And I actually applauded all of the laws that changed that kids could stay preserved until a woman was ready to go against her accuser, and that they could take all of this and she didn't have to do anything right away. Well, there might be reasons, if you could show you were in therapy, you could show you had repressed things, had to deal with stuff. I think that they should be amended. And why are they coming forward without going to the authorities to ruin somebody's life if this was going on all the time? Well, I mean, I've had conversations with others about NDAs that might have been expired and things like that. I'm not sure. And thank you, Shill, for the Kofi also. Yeah. The detectives in DH's case indicated themselves by their own reports, testimony, and interviews. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. I don't think Shapiro is right about that. He's capitalizing on the situation. Anna, he is. He's trying to capitalize for his movement in right-wing conspiracy commentary and about wanting everyone to live the same life in his conservative in a conservative way for that he speaks out on. And I get that. He is twisting it and using it to his advantage. Well, when he's right that they're going about it the wrong way, that it does look, the points that I did agree with him was that this does look like an organized campaign against Russell Brand for a particular reason. We don't know. I don't know who he pissed off, but it does appear that he pissed somebody off greatly. And it's just the way it's being done. That is so, it's just so sus. Sorry. It's just so sus. I know, Mandy. Yep, Claire's gonna gargle with bleach after this. She said Ben Shapiro about 7 times. Mandy, it's tough for me. I have my coffee right here. Every time I say his name, like now, I have to take a sip. It's very difficult for me to admit, but when he's right, he's right. And, I even have retweeted Keem, so don't come for me, people. I've agreed with some of the people that everyone kind of hates, but a point that's valid is a point that's valid. A fair point is a fair point, and a fact is a fact. And on this, there is some talking points that Ben Shapiro is making that are along with mine. Not all of them. Not all of them. He can't. He's not gonna invade me that way. I can't. I'm not switching out. That's for sure. Crazy Cats. That's one thing I like about your channel. The information is always on point. Thank you, Crazy Cats. That's one of the nicest compliments. Because that is my main objective in no matter what I'm doing, even the funny stuff. Even though we're making funny, we're not telling any stories that aren't true. We're not putting any facts that we didn't see out there. I'm not putting misinformation out there. It's the last thing I would want to do. And I am always willing to correct anything that's brought to my attention that could be not my opinion. Or my opinion can change. I shouldn't say no. But as far as fact, if you guys have information on something and I misrepresented a fact or a name or whatever, I'm the first one to go out there and admit I was wrong and correct it in public the same way I said it. And I believe everybody should. There's no harm in changing. And there's no harm in changing your opinion either when you get more information. We're saying that this all looks sus and there's nothing to it. But tomorrow, if we get evidence that crimes have been committed and things are being done, we'll have other conversations, won't we? And that'll happen here. And it won't be that I'm being a hypocrite. It'll be I'm more informed and something else has happened, right? Just like everyone. It's stuff like this that every now and then makes me think that conspiracy nuts might be onto something. Sometimes I think when conspiracy nuts, let's just use the same terminology so we're all talking about the same thing here. I think when they say that people often poo-poo everything they say because of how they say it and where it's coming from, that's a true statement. Just like I think they, on the other side, take everything we say as couldn't possibly be true because they don't believe in science. And if we're going to do a scientific study or whatever, they automatically discount it. I think both statements are true. Two things can be true at the same time. I think we often discount people that we don't like because of maybe their savory content, their personality, whatever. But a fact is fact. And that's what we want to do. We want to look for the unbiased black and white and then make our very biased opinions about it that we all have, right? Well, start with the black and white. I do agree, both Liam and Anna, that Shapiro is being bipartisan right now and looking for clicks and views. Yes, because the Daily Wire will succeed, won't it? Yes, there it goes. And they've been taking some hits, yeah, I do agree, Liam. It's kind of obvious. It is. Oklahoma City crime lab tossed kits after only 2 years, and they're supposed to be preserved. I get that, just Rhonda. And I also reported on a case where the DNA from the rape kit was put into the regular CODIS, and a woman was charged with a robbery years later based on her rape kit, which was supposed to be held in a different server and not put into the common thing. They have without her permission because they're protected under certain laws that way. And that was a whole big thing. How did that happen? How did that happen? Yeah. So how you got to get better on how they're actually handling these samples and doing things, Every creator, reporter, journalist is out there to make money. That's what makes the world go round. Why wouldn't Ben report on it? Exactly. He can report on it. They're just saying that, he's kind of opened up his perspective a little bit, Mandy, in when he's talking about it, because he is talking to a broader audience on this subject. I don't think they mean he shouldn't talk about it, because I think he should if he wants. I think they all do. They're not going to say he shouldn't. Yeah. Let's see. Thank you very much for the coffee, rabbits. Yeah, I want to play game night, so I'm not going to do anything stronger, but I hear you. He's just not my favorite. I do think he has rights to talk about anything he wants, though, Mandy. You know that. Like, you know me. I just don't agree with him very often. Yeah. I'm glad I'm not the only one smelling something rotten in Denmark. Exactly, Anna. And this is why this was the decision to do this. Number one, I found that through conversations in DM and in the Discord and calls with some of my friends that a lot of us were feeling the same way, that something was wrong here. And yet they didn't feel that they could talk about it or come out that they would be judged harshly. And so I wanted to, as usual, just provide a little bit of a safe space for opinion. And just to tell you guys that many of you are feeling the same way, that it's not victim shaming to not believe a mass media thing like this right away. You do have the right to wait and see more. You do have the right to your opinions too. And if even though he does seem like an unsavory character, does he actually deserve to be character assassination like this without any criminal charges or even a civil lawsuit? Without even a civil lawsuit. If you won't file a civil lawsuit that you were wrong, do you not have, like, is it possible you don't have any evidence to collaborate what you're saying? And if you won't let your likeness or name be used in a documentary, are you standing behind your allegations? And doesn't everyone have the right to face their accusers? And that's the problem, because no justice can be served here the way this is being done. And I agree with Rose McGowan that it's actually hurting victims to do it this way. I understand anger and violation and the feelings that come with that, and that you want to retaliate, but you're not helping yourself or anyone else when it's done like this. You're lining the pockets of mainstream media only. You are helping others with an agenda. I do believe these women's stories are being twisted and used to someone's advantage. I do. Because I don't see them standing behind them. I don't. And that's concerning to me. Yeah, who gets to decide who's a conspiracy nut? Nobody. Like, exactly. Or that their theories are conspiratorial. Exactly. I think the issue that platforms deal with what is whether or not they cause harm or they're true misinformation when things get obviously twisted a certain way that have been proven. But I hear you, Just Rhonda. That's all speculative, you know. Science can tell whether something's a conspiracy. This is true. Science, evidence. Yep. And Mrs. Cassandra has ears on. Oh my God. That's documented now, woman. I don't know what you're up to. Or lack of evidence and using feelings to decide the truth of the matter. I do think that women's testimony should be out there if they say things, but I think there's a better way to do it than what just happened. Just because you have a different opinion, it's not a conspiracy. I agree. I agree. I don't even know who Ben is. That's good. If you don't, you're not in that circle. That's fine. Would you call him a conservative commentator, Mandy? I guess I would, you know. But he owns the Daily Wire. He's, with Matt Walsh and the. He's very conservative and strong in his beliefs. Yes, he is. I grant him that. He believes everything that he's saying, and he stands behind everything that he's saying. Just because others have no idea what makes someone conspiracy nut doesn't mean we need to take notice of them or not be able to recognize it when it's true about someone else. Exactly. We each get to make our opinions on that. Our chat helped me think of questions, and as you know, I was thinking guilty, but then when I found out no legal cases, I totally think this is sus. Thank you for giving us the opportunity. Thank you, Shill. Thank you for appreciating that. That is actually what I wanted to do. Just give you the opportunity to talk. And that's it. And I think on that, I'm going to take a couple more questions, and that's it. I say to each their own. It's a free country, has the right to think and believe. Exactly. And I think I hope that's what you're taking away from this. Most of us are saying that, Mandy. He has the right. He definitely does. And I stand behind that right. I just, don't agree a lot, Thanks. The Daily Wire. Yes, the Daily Wire. That's yes. Oh no, but that's just so you know who it was. Like, that's who he is. If there's evidence, give me the evidence. Don't try gaslighting me. I understand it, and I think gaslighting is a good term because, like, when I look at some of the manipulation on the tweets and how this all planned out, and it was the media and the pseudo kind of documentary type thing that they did with Channel 4. And you know, he lost his the last thing I want to tell you is that damage is definitely being done, because he lost his YouTube ads, right? A concert that he was going to do has been canceled. There was another article and I'm looking for it. His concert was kind of, he's lost PR. The company that worked for him left already. Kind of the same kind of stuff that was happening to Johnny Depp, that people just backed away immediately as soon as it hit the press, because they were getting a lot of feedback on it. And so for him to, you know, Russell Brand right now has a good defamation case because they're costing him money. And if you're a celebrity, to be able to prove defamation, unfortunately, you have to prove that it actually cost you your career and money. In some of the things that people are doing right now, it's costing him right away. The companies have backed away from him. His comedy act got canceled, and YouTube just took his AdSense away. He won't be going to the poorhouse, no. But do they have the right to do this? Like, it is a question that I think we all should think about. You know, how those lines, how far do we go? I want the truth out there too. I do. I want the truth. And I want to look more into what they're saying. But I think that the way it's being done, there's something very suspicious about it. Yep. And it does seem a little too familiar for me, maybe because of I watched the Johnny Depp thing happen from the start and how the media was used. But these are definitely slimy tactics on mainstream media that they're using for whatever purpose, whether they think they're doing it for the right reason or not. They're doing it the wrong way. Well, oh. Hey, Jess Love, how are you? Thanks for joining us. On that, guys, I think we're done. Game night tonight for those of you that are members and in the Discord in a few minutes. So I'm going to head over there. I'm going to put on my banner, and I'm going to put on my wonderful outro from Mocking Media. Thanks again for Mocking, for giving me my true crime intro and outro. You know, net people, I hope you all have a good night. I'll be back Saturday with, you know, what the if. I think we're doing a challenge tomorrow. I'm not sure whose channel it'll be on, but it once I know, I'll put it on the community tab for you. Well, everyone, thank you for chatting. You can hit me up. I'm sure we'll be chatting about this one again. I don't think it's going away anytime soon. Put your questions on the back of the video or contact me direct, and I'll be talking to you soon. Night all.